I learned about Sovereign when I was in a psych ward in West Covina. I heard about it because I went into detox, and after a really horrible detox, I realized I needed to go to rehab. So I decided to make the decision on my own to come to rehab, and I wanted to be far away enough from my family and all the bad situations, but be still close enough to be able to visit my family. And so that they found out about Sovereign, and they told me about Sovereign, and I came. It started after my abusive ex-husband. I left him and I didn't stop drinking for 2 years. I was getting into some pretty rough situations, and I then ended up going into a sober living, and I continued to use. Then when I realized I was going to lose pretty much everything, I had to give away my dog, who was my child basically. I had to give away my apartment because I was getting evicted because all I did was stay home and drink. And I then realized I had to take a hard look at my life and ask myself if this is what I wanted for the rest of my life, if I wanted to be homeless and searching the ground for cigarette butts or stealing money from my parents. And I said no, and I called my parents and I asked them to take me to detox, and that's when I went to the psych ward and went through detox and almost died at 24. And that's what kind of led me to realize that I had a problem and that I needed to deal with it at a young age instead of sitting in across the room from somebody that was a lot older than I was trying to deal with it at a much older age. I loved Sovereign because it had the dual diagnosis center as well as the mental health, so I could be properly analyzed to see which program I'd be best fit for. I loved that it was close to the beach, so it's like really peaceful and calm, and it has a lot of the good activities that I liked, like yoga and the horse relationship groups and the art therapy and the meditation groups. And it has both DBT and CBT groups too. Those are really important. I was at Timberline Knolls in Chicago, Illinois about 2 years ago. That was the first rehab I went to, and that one was about, like I said, 2 years ago, and that was not by my choice, so I didn't really get the fullest out of that experience. Sovereign Health helps you a lot more. They make you more independent than that facility did. They make you grow up a lot faster than the treatment center over in Chicago did. The other one was a locked facility, and it was more of like an inpatient type of a facility where you were in a much, like, I call it the Sovereign bubble, but theirs was like a locked bubble where they didn't let you grow up. You couldn't say certain words. You couldn't, it was too protected. And so when you got out to the real world, it was like you were culture shocked and you weren't as prepared for the real world as Sovereign lets you slowly get back to accumulated to and everything like that. My first impression was I was really nervous because there was a lot of people, but then I saw my housemates and I realized I was a lot like them, and I was really excited that I could relate to people and that I had a lot of the same. I remember sitting with my roommate actually on our little balcony or patio area, and we sat and talked about why we both were here, and it was almost the exact same story, and it was really nice and comforting to be around people that have the same experiences as you do. My biggest expectation was to definitely get my mental illness under control and to properly diagnose myself. I've been in and out of psychiatric facilities since I was 14, and I've been diagnosed with pretty much everything under the sun, and no one has been able to really pinpoint what I have or give me the correct mixture of medicines. And luckily with Sovereign, they were able to do psychological testing. I've never had that been able to do before, so they did that. And then they also did that PGT test on me, and that was remarkable, and that helped a lot to get to know what medication works best with my DNA. And another expectation was for me to be able to stay sober and learn how to stay sober and learn how to deal with why I drank and process through my traumas of why I drank. And it's going really well. I almost have 5 months sober, which is the longest I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And another expectation of mine was to rebuild my relationship with my family because of my addiction and my mental illness. I've destroyed most of the connections with my family, and through the intensive family therapy weekend that we had here and the family therapy that we have with my therapist, it's remarkable the leaps and bounds we've made in the couple of months that I've been here. So it's been meeting well beyond my expectations of what I thought it could be. The residence that I'm staying in is, I think, the best. I'm at Cordoba. It is the state licensed house, and it is the best house. We have this remarkable, breathtaking, serene, peaceful, every word in the dictionary for beautiful view of the ocean on all sides. There's only 6 girls in the house, and they're all very calm, and we all like sit down and eat dinner together, breakfast, everything together. Our rooms are really big. I like that we each have like our own like big space in our room where we're not cramped inside of a room. I've seen other treatment facilities, like the one I was in, there was like 6 people to a room and there's only 2. Our bathroom is really nice and has really hot water, which I like. And but the outside is just my favorite. We're on like top of a cliff, and we overlook the ocean, and you can see the pier and you can see the sunset, and it's the most beautiful view I think I've ever seen. So I think I have the best house. At first, I was very reluctant to have a male therapist because of my abuse history, but I am so utterly grateful for Sovereign pairing me up and not forcing me to stay with my male therapist, but kind of pushing me to work through my issues and stay with him. He has turned out to be the best therapist I have ever had in my entire life, and I've been in therapy since I was 5. And he has brought so much out of me that no other therapist has been able to. He has been the only therapist that, with my family dynamics, been able to like help us actually have a conductive session instead of one of us screaming and walking off. Like, he's taught us so many healthy coping skills. And even as my mom, who is a therapist, he doesn't feel challenged by that. Like, he does not have a problem like stepping in and being like, no, that's not how we're gonna do things here. And he's just remarkable. He just is amazing. He's gotten so much out of my family that has been buried deep down, like the resentments and the anger that I had in childhood and how I grew up, and stuff that I didn't even know that I had buried deep down inside there came up. And now it's like our relationship is a 180. And with the staff, I mean, the staff works their butts off, and they make sure what you need to get done gets done. If you need your medication, they get you your medication. If you're having a bad day and you really want a chocolate milkshake, that patient advocate will go and get you a chocolate milkshake, you know. And they do whatever they can to make you happy here and to make your stay here wonderful. And they definitely look out for your best interest. And I love that every staff here I've had, don't have one bad thing to say about the staff here. Group therapy is really awesome. I loved starting out you start off at like RTC groups, and it's more like in-depth and really intense groups. So that's where like the hard work is, and those groups are amazing. They get a lot out, and you get out what you put in, which is a big thing. And once you get through those groups and you graduate up to the IOP level, then those groups are more of like integrating you back into society. Like today we had how to create a healthy social support system group, so when you get out you have like, you know, how to set boundaries, you know how to do that. And so the groups that we have are really awesome. They definitely teach you in the beginning like what brought you here and how you can fix that in your life, and what you need to work on individual session wise. And then in the IOP groups, it's how you can work on outside of here. So it's a mixture of both great worlds. It's on the inside and out. And then in individual sessions, it's really what you want to bring to the table. If you want to bring in a list of topics that you want to talk about, your therapist will knock that list out. That's what I do. I come to every session prepared with what trauma I want to talk about, what I want to talk about. If I go on a home pass, that's the first thing we talk about when I get back in, and it's really productive. It's great. I have two favorite groups. My first favorite group is the DBT group. I love DBT group. I think that teaches no matter what disorder you have, I think that teaches you the best skills. Because I think if everyone learned it in third grade, there would be no problems in the world. Because it teaches everybody how to distress tolerance, it teaches interpersonal effectiveness skills, it teaches self-soothing, it teaches you everything you need to know how to cope in the real world. And then my second favorite class is yoga, just because it teaches you how to de-stress and calm your body and really awesome stretches, and it's really fun. A typical day is you wake up typically around 6 a.m., or I typically wake up at 6 a.m. And you usually get ready. You leave your house about 8 o'clock. You get to go to the beach to do morning meditation from 8 to about, I would say, 8:30, 9 o'clock, depending on how far away you are from the center. And then from there you start groups at 9:30. And you have groups from 9:30 to 11:30. And then you have lunch, which is pretty good. And then you have groups then again until, I would say, 4:30, and then you get to go home and you get to relax. They all have Netflix and all sorts of cool stuff at the house to do, and books and puzzles and anything to keep you busy. And you get to de-stress with your housemates or further process what happened in your day, and build relationships and really connect with your housemates and other girls here. The thing that I like most about Sovereign is that it has literally saved my life. I have been suicidal since I was 14, to the point where every day it has been a fight to choose to stay alive every day. I have attempted suicide more times than I can count. And I've been in and out of psych wards pretty much every 6 months since I was 14, in and out of programs since I was 14, and Sovereign Health has been the only program that has actually seemed to help. I haven't been suicidal in, I would say, about the last 2 months. I have not had one suicidal thought. With the regimen of the medicine, with the therapy, with the neurofeedback they're doing, the TMS machine that they have me on, I've been doing great, and it's been wonderful. It's life-saving.